Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ric Wesley Show. I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head men's basketball coach Ric Wesley. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
Nice to be here.
Our first time talking this year. We've got a couple games to update the fans on. You're 3-1 at this point of the year. You went 2-0 last week. Your final non-conference games of this season. You had an 87-53 win over Kuiper last Monday. Close game at halftime. Then you came out and played really well in the second half, outscoring the Cougars 55-23. You shot nearly 60% from the field for the game, made 9 of 15 three-pointers, and probably the standout player of that game was Rob Woodson. 15 points, a career high for him. He made all 7 of his field goal attempts. A good way to come out in the second half and get a win over a scrappy Kuiper team.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Kuiper. They came out, they really were ready to go. I thought they played very well in the first half. We didn't play maybe our best, but I got to give them a lot of credit for coming out and being ready. I think as the game went on, we played better and better. Second half in particular, once we went to our bench, I thought our bench came in, and you mentioned Rob Woodson, and Darren Kaputska, and Ray Hansen, and Ricky Carball. We had a lot of guys coming off the bench and really get it going. And I felt like, again, as the game went on, we played better and better.
Then you took on the Cedarville team in your most recent game. That was this past Saturday here at home. Team you had lost a tough game last year down in Cedarville, but they were the defending national champs from the National College Christian College Association. And you get a 69-66 overtime win. A good win for your team. You trailed by 9 in the second half. You came back, you tied it up, went to overtime, and you took a quick lead in overtime and kind of held it for basically the entirety of the game, or entirety of overtime. Reelan Hogan, Ryan Saban made clutch free throws in the last 14 seconds to kind of seal the deal. And Saban with a career high 19 points. He made 5 three-pointers. He's played well to start, and it was certainly a good win to go into GLIAC play.
Yeah, I thought it was a good win. Time will tell. The kind of season Cedarville ends up having, but they were a team that won a national championship last year. They had the majority of their team back. They had beaten us last year. They had already beaten Saginaw Valley in our league and had taken Findlay right down to the wire at Findlay. We know what a tough place that is to play. So we expected this to be a tough game, and it certainly was. First half, both teams really struggled to score. Wasn't really a great game to watch, but again, we came out in the second half. We had some injuries, we had some illness, which forced us to go with some different lineups that we might not normally have, but it seemed to work out well. And down the stretch, our guys really executed well, performed well with pressure on, and got back in the game. We were able to tie the game, had a chance to win it in the regulation, and we were able to get it done in overtime. But you mentioned Ryan Saban. I thought he had an outstanding game.
Yep.
Both ends of the floor. Offensively, he was near perfect. Defensively, he guarded one of their best players and did a good job on him. I thought Reelan Hogan, at the end of the game, really did a nice job. He's a strong finisher, made some good plays, particularly offensively, made some free throws that were key. And again, Rob Woodson again came off the bench and gave us a real spark. So a good win against a good team, and hopefully give us some momentum as we go into GLIAC play.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's your last non-conference game of the year, so the rest of your season is just GLIAC games. So 4 games in, your team's shooting exactly 50% from three-point range, really lighting it up from behind there. And you held all your opponents to 66 points or less, so nobody's even reached a 70 mark on you, which you're a defensive-oriented team. What are you pleased with early on, looking into going into GLIAC play?
Well, I think our effort's been pretty good. It's been pretty consistent. And I think we have a lot of guys that are giving good, solid effort and competing hard. So that's a positive. Our execution hasn't always been real good. That's the negative. We're getting sort of effort without execution. So we're working hard, but we're not always working real smart. So we've got to get a little more discipline in how we're playing, particularly on the offensive end. I think as a team, we've got to continue to make a greater commitment to defensive rebounding. We tend to give up a lot of offensive rebounds. And while we're doing that, hopefully keep everybody's attitude in the right place so that we can really maximize our bench to its fullest and use our depth as our advantage.
You go on the road this week for your first GLIAC road trip at Ashland this Thursday night at 5:30. and at Lake Erie on Saturday at 1 o'clock. You beat both those teams last year. Just played them once, so you don't know them as well as maybe the North Division opponents. But what are you looking for from this trip, and what do you expect from Ashland and Lake Erie?
Well, here we go. You know, we're in the conference play, and it's barely out of November. You know, we're right here just the beginning of December. So it's so early to have to play these kinds of games, and yet with 22 league games, you got to get them in somehow. So it's really a challenge to go and start playing these games when we know our team certainly isn't a finely oiled machine. But I'm sure our opponents feel the same way. It's funny because you'll look back on these games later in February and, golly, it'll seem like it was a season ago.
Sure.
But they're equally as important. So we're just, trying to find out, how hard we're willing to fight and compete in tough circumstances. And certainly going on the road right off the bat will give us a pretty good indication of how competitive we're going to be.
Grand Valley State men's basketball team 3-1 on the year, and they go to Ashland and Lake Erie to open up GLIAC play this weekend. Rick, best of luck this weekend. Bring home a couple victories from Ohio.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for watching the Ric Wesley Show here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.